So, happy Mom's Day. At least here in the United States, we are celebrating Mother's Day. Um, the stream is still looking very laggy, low bit frame, bit rate. I still don't know what the difference is, but basically, you let me know if this looks normal. I watched the playback of yesterday's stream, and it looked as awful as it did when I was watching it on feedback, and it looks as jaggy as it does right now for me. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's my phone that's dying or if it's YouTube's new live streaming platform, but this is all I can offer you. I'm sorry. But Eurovision, yes. Hi, Scotland. Eurovision was delightful. I call it my gay Christmas. I feel like my one friend who's really into it, who spends like 6 months out of the year paying attention to Eurovision going down, he knew like every single factoid about every single person who appeared on screen, including the people who were representing countries giving the panel vote at the end. So it's really serious for him. It's a big deal for him. So it was delightful. It was just the three of us yesterday, a small party, and we had a lot of snacks and we had some wine. I just sipped 2 little ones where I didn't even feel myself swallowing it, just enough to taste like a stale, bitter salami note. It was like a $10 bottle of wine from Astor Place, which is a pretty good place to get your booze if you live in Manhattan or New York City. But today, what I am going to do is, hi France, we're gonna eat breakfast so I can take my anti-bios and we might make some almond butter, and after that we might blend up some frozen pears and maybe eat some pear sorbet. I'm not sure yet. My friend's birthday is coming up on Tuesday. I promised to make him some guava and cream cheese tartlets, so we're gonna make some pie dough today. And I'm hoping to not cook a lot because for the next 2 days I have birthday dinners to go to, and I still have all those leftovers that we made a couple of lives ago, so I have enough food to last me for probably the week now. I don't want to cook anything and just have it linger. So that's the rundown. Cool. Welcome. If you have any questions or rant topics that you want to nominate for today's stream, the floor is yours. Guava and cream cheese is one of the best pastry flavor combos for me. I feel like you have the tart, you have the sweet, you have the creamy, you have this lusciously dairy backbone running throughout, and then the filling is almost like a cheesecake surrounded by this flaky pie crust envelope. It's just really good. It's just really good. Hi, Serbia. So, yes, I will look up the pie dough recipe, which is pretty simple. I'm just going to follow the delish pie dough because I know it works. But it's really not that hard to make pie dough, I feel like. Many different people make it many different ways. I go with a pure butter one just because I don't like to use shortening. But we're going to cut 1 stick of butter up into tiny pieces. We're going to toss it in flour. We're going to add some sugar, some salt, and we're going to make some ice water. It calls for apple cider vinegar, but I think today I'm going to go for some of my brandy. So, let's see. We got some nice fine calvados. Antarctica. Do you have any active fermentations on the go at the moment? No, I don't. I mean, I guess if you count the sourdough starter, but no. lot of brandy. What did I think about Eurovision? First of all, I truly don't understand why Israel is in there. I just don't. And, you know, given my politics, what gives? Australia, I can almost see it. It's obviously in a different continent, but like, it's lonely. It's kind of its own thing. I don't understand why Israel's there. Also, they're constantly committing war crimes right now. So, if you're not going to let Russia participate, clearly we're aiming to get demonetized today. So, I enjoyed Eurovision. I loved Belgium. It was my number 3. I loved Spain. It was my number 1. I thought Spain's song was original. She had voice. She had control. There was style. There was coordination. It wasn't pompous. It wasn't a circus act. It was substantial. It didn't seek to please the masses, which, you know, obviously I will always appreciate. I can see why they didn't win. But the fact that they were so low, and Germany coming in last, pissed me the fuck off. Germany did not deserve to be last. There were so many shitty acts. There were so many people whose vocals just weren't hitting it. I screamed. I screamed when Germany came in last. I screamed at how few votes they got. And it was just infuriating. But Finland, I'm sorry. That act was not for me. I don't know how you got to 2nd place, but, you know. I didn't not like Sweden, but I just felt like that song is about a very toxic love. It's about a very toxic relationship. I don't like that dynamic. I don't like how pop music and media and movies perpetuate these ideals of love that's supposed to hurt and bring pain to you and feel torturous to you, especially after what I have just experienced in the last half year. I just don't feel like it's good to perpetuate this kind of flaky, unhealthy dynamic. And I thought that her vocals, she was very powerful in her notes, but not melodic. Her voice was very shaky on the song parts that weren't her belting out the notes. And when I judge a musician's vocals, I want to see that they have control over their voice. I want to hear smoothness in the transitions of the ranges, and she didn't really have that. I knew that she was saving her power for hitting the powerful notes and belting it out, but it's a strategic move. I can see it when people are playing it like a game, which it is, but like, I'm just personally not into it. She was in my top 10 though. I think she deserved it, but not number 1, that's for sure. I have some good. I'm tougher than Simon Cowell. Honestly, Simon Cowell had some good points. He was just kind of an asshole, you know? But, let's be honest. Not many of those shows would be the same without Simon. Everybody loves to hate on Simon, but everybody loves to love on Simon too. Right? Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the frame. I'm sorry, but doesn't this remind you of the good old days of the internet when we didn't have smooth streaming in 4,000 million gabillion K? So I would venture to say that I would not have gotten into Eurovision viewing experience at all had I not had this friend who's so into it. But I fully enjoy it now because I don't really celebrate holidays, and this feels like way more exciting than the Super Bowls, which is the only other big kind of competitive holiday that I have as someone who lives in the United States of America. And it's just grown men ramming each other down just doesn't really appeal to me. And also the way we stream it, there's no commercial breaks. Is it that way in Europe too? When you guys see it, are there no commercial breaks? Like, because this is unheard of in America, to have such a huge competitive event with no commercial breaks. So, have you heard that YouTube is not blocking ad blockers? I haven't watched YouTube in a while on my computer, but I think my ad block still works. Finland was out for me. Finland was not in my top 10. I'm sorry. That I just don't do well with acts that are acting like that. It was just too much of a show. You know, his vocals were weak. The first part was definitely altered. The vocals weren't pure. And then the second part of the song with the transition, it showed you just how weak his vocals were. There were no backing tracks for the vocals for some reason, which made it sound even wimpier. I was just not impressed. Not impressed. I do think Finland is what Eurovision used to be. I appreciate that that's not all we get now. I like the diversity. I like the attempt, the actual attempt at, you know, musicalities. Okay. All right. We are going to commence our pie dough making. The first thing to go in is our flour. 1.5 cups is what the recipe says, so that's about 190 grams. Oh, that's way too much. That's way too much. Let's put some of you back. Then we're going to go in with sugar and salt. Yes, I was in chip heaven. It was amazing. That's true. Australia does have New Zealand. So is New Zealand qualified to join Eurovision? And if not, what's the deal with that? Man. And you know, M. Schneckenhaus, ad or no ad, the ad revenue on my videos are dismal right now. I actually make, like, for example, the 7-minute burrito video made about $30 in ad revenue so far, which, like, is really bad because some of my lives can make up to 60 in a week. So I kind of, like, I'm trying to detach myself from thinking about the success of videos based on views and ad revenue and more about, does making this video actually bring me either fulfillment, joy, exploration, or therapy. I feel like a lot of my videos are basically my way of performing therapy on myself in order to give myself some space to think about things. I try to not look at it in terms of, is this getting me views? Because clearly the way that I run this channel is not going to please the algorithm gods. And it's fine. Yes, there's a part of me that's disappointed, let's be honest, because we are all very metric-driven society people, but I just can't hinge my worth and my production on those numbers anymore. And it's honestly not my job. Like, I do this for fun. I like to think it's something to waste my time on. It's something to spend my time on. It's just part of living. So I don't want it to be like, is this worth doing? And having these algorithmic metrics drive my worth and my concept of worth. So, you know, oh, very interesting. Very interesting. Different versions of ad blocker experiences in people, huh? Okay, I don't know who all the hosts were, but the tall blonde lady, can we just take a moment to appreciate her? She's like perfection. I could not stop staring. Just, her skin was so smooth. She was so gorgeous. I turned at one point to my friend and I was like, I would like her to sing me and cuddle me and cradle me to sleep. And he was like, a lot of people do. So, you know, but, wait, are you serious? Australia isn't allowed in Eurovision because they mixed it up with Austria one year and just went with it and it stuck? Are you joking, or is that real? Because that's hilarious. That's so funny. I mean, not only did she have the boobage, she had the clavicle, like everything. Her body was structured in the most amazingly abundant way. And I guess I'm objectifying a woman, which shame on me, but like, how can you not appreciate it? It was just so content. Oh man. Well, there you have it. There's me platonically lusting after a tall blonde woman. But apparently she was in Game of Thrones. I don't know anything about her. Okay, now we have this mixture, flour, salt, sugar, and we're gonna cut in some butter now, a stick of butter. I like to do it on a cutting board with a paring knife. I've definitely done the shredder before, which works a lot, the grater, but then you have to clean the grater, and it's just really not worth it for me. You might be projecting your desire for a German husband on her. Is she German? Does she have German bloodlines? All aboard the European husband train. Oh, there's so much butter left on this wrapper. I'm gonna try to find something to smear this on. This Trader Joe's butter is really good. Shout out to Aaron's mom, Leslie, for getting us onto the Trader Joe's butter train. It's not even any of their fancy butter. This is just their like basic butter, which is honestly pretty cheap. It beats a lot of regular supermarket sales. I think it's like $4 for a pound. It's pretty cheap. So she can sing, huh? At one point I was like, all these people who are not in the competition this year are singing. I want to hear this woman sing. Guys, listen. Fake marriage is going to be the most authentic marriages ever because you are treating the marriage like it was always meant to be treated. An institution, a process, a procedure through which you gain certain rights that society has made up and gatekept. She is an opera singer. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. Is she married? Can we all collectively marry her? What is her name? I don't even know this woman's name. So blinded am I. What is a lavender marriage? I've never heard of that term before. Oh man. Hannah Waddingham. That is the most British last name ever. Thank you for that information. Hannah does not... She's not a Hannah, is she? She's not a Hannah. If you could rename her first name to something else, what would you say she's more suited to? Right now I'm just pinching the butter into the flour with my fingertips. My hands run hot, so this is really not good for making pastry because you just really want to flake the butter in between your like 3 fingers, and you're kind of trying to flatten it between your pads so that it gets cut into the flour. Some of it will melt into the flour, but you want some pieces in there to be a little bit like a I would say a split pea size, because that's what creates layering in the pie crust when it bakes. As the water evaporates from the butter, it lifts between the layers that it's sandwiched in. So you don't want to mix it until it's completely integrated like wet sand, because that will just create a shortbread, kind of. Two gay people get married to make their parents happy or fulfill society. Oh, wow, okay. Two gay people get married to people of the opposite gender? Like a straight marriage? Like a fake straight marriage? Is that what a lavender marriage is? Huh. Oh, a gay man to a gay woman. Huh, why is it called lavender, if I can ask? What if it's not just having fun on the side? What if you're like really in love with someone? Wouldn't that be so hard? You would have to like constantly be... Okay. You would have to constantly be closeted to your family members if you engaged in that kind of a deceptive marriage, I guess? As a lesbob? Is that a term? Clara. I don't know if I would name her Clara either. Maybe Hannah does befit her, actually. I'm imagining her without makeup and without fancy nightgowns. Maybe she is a Hannah, after all. I don't think you're being too silly. I feel like you were one of our original friendly trolls. This is your persona that we've come to know and love. You know, it's very I would say it's almost very realistic and mature of you to think that it's better for your relationship for your parents. I think that's one thing that I never understood in relationshiping with my mom, is that like sometimes I probably just needed to not tell her stuff and lie to her, because I wasn't going to change who I was, but she would have wanted me to, and that was going to cause a lot of sadness for the both of us. And I think if I had that realization sooner, maybe I could have had a slightly better, less turbulent relationship with her, but maybe not. So we added some of our iced cognac or brandy water concoction here. And we're not trying to add too much water. We're not trying to make it too moist because that'll toughen it. We're just trying to make sure that it clumps together, barely, like that. Kazakhstan. Okay, can I just say how disappointed I was that Azerbaijan's judge panel voted for Israel? Because I feel like those votes must have been to some degree political. You know what your country is representing when you vote with a judge panel, right? And a lot of countries voted for Israel, which is fine. I do feel like Israel did have a very good performance, for sure. I'm not denying that, but just politically speaking, when Azerbaijan voted for Israel, I was like, you used to be my favorite country name. Now I'm not so sure. It is forever tainted for me. It is better to add water as you go rather than adding too much in the beginning, because you can't really take the water out afterwards. So. When you have time, can we get a bull ring? My cousin passed yesterday and I just need some peace. Yes. Remind me again. I'd be happy to do that. Does brandy improve the flavor? So some people use vinegar. Some people use vodka. I just use brandy because it's a high proof alcohol that I have on hand. And yeah, I guess I imagine the pear and apple brandy to go a little bit better with the guava. Although I don't know how much taste will remain in the pie dough after. But the addition of acidity or alcohol is supposed to act as a tenderizer. I don't know the science. This is just kind of like following blindly what other people have recommended that I do, but this is where I stop. So you get some dry bits, some clumps, but mostly it's cohesive enough to be pressed into a disc. And I just work it a little bit to get it into a cohesive disc, and then we're going to wrap it in plastico. I am feeling a little sad today, but I also feel like I've reached the point in my life where I'm okay with being sad. It's almost a marriage of being too tired to care that I'm sad, and also a realization that I will always have reasons to be sad, and coming to peace and terms with this is just how life is, and getting used to it. I guess I'm finally submitting and accepting the undesirables of life. But is there a sustainable replacement for plastic wrap? I'm sure, but not one that restaurants will use for now because they're more expensive, and our society is all about the money. But I'm using this plastic wrap because one roll is from my mom's house after she died, and another roll is from the beginning of the pandemic when I had to develop a lox recipe, and I never use plastic wrap almost, so it might take me 10 years to finish these 2 rolls. Yeah, it is okay to be sad, and I hope we can all be okay with being sad, because it will always be sad. Life will always be sad. End story. But life won't only be sad. Life will always be sad, but there will be other stuff with it too. And I'm trying to teach myself how to stop chasing everlasting, perpetual, sustainable, continuous happiness, because I don't think that's really possible. And yeah, while I agree that it can help us think about why you're sad, I don't know if you always have to take action for the sadness. Sometimes I think feeling like you do have to take action for the sadness might cause a lot more stress, because you're like, okay, well, when do I figure out how to stop being sad, or why I'm sad? Or I think putting a goal and an objective to it can make me really stressed. Maybe not so for others, but I just feel it. And then I'm like, okay, that's that. That's sad. And then I make a envelope, and I try to leave a little bit of gap to let some air out. And then can you see? And then I press it out to flatten it into a square or a circle, whatever your eventual shape you want it to be in. When you roll it out, this is the best time to shape your dough before you fridge it, because your dough should always rest. You want the gluten to relax, you want the moisture content to redistribute itself evenly throughout the dough. And so this is the best time to shape it, because it will guide how your dough gets rolled out after it's chilled. So pressing outwards, pushing out the air, sealing the plastic package, shaping the plastic to be a square, and then pressing out the dough, trying not to rip anything. And then trying to get it as evenly flat as possible. And here we have a square. Kind of square. Great. I will bake this tomorrow. It needs to rest. We shall let it rest. Okay, task 1 done. Huzzah. Task 2. Cream cheese filling. Cream cheese is softening. It needs to soften a little bit more before I beat some powdered sugar into it. Sometimes I crack an egg in it. This time I want to experiment not cracking an egg into it and seeing what happens. I might mix a little bit of yogurt inside it. I'm not sure yet, but let me transfer this into a vessel. That has a cover and is microwavable, so that in case it doesn't melt on time, I can always soften it in the microwave. There's cream cheese on the wrapper. We're gonna eat it. This is not Philadelphia cream cheese, which is the best cream cheese, but it's still cream cheese. All right. Maybe milk. Maybe milk. I don't know. I'm not sure if milk has enough fat in it to really hold the structure during the bake, but maybe milk. You put Greek yogurt into your pasta dish? Yay! Was it whole fat? Was it whole fat Greek yogurt? Just finished cooking Marcella Hazan's bolognese. Never tried it, no. Hi, Portugal. Thank you for those thoughts. Hi, Philippines. Wait, I'm sorry, what's Cabayan? Educate me. Is that a region in the Philippines? It sounds familiar because there's a few restaurants in here that sounds like Cabayan, but I've never known what it was. If I had condensed milk, I would use it, but unfortunately I don't. Oh, a fellow countryman. I see. That makes so much sense that restaurants would be called that. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make some pear puree, and I had these ripe pears that were going bad, and I wasn't about to eat them all because eating more than one pear in a day gives me very bad diarrhea. There you have it. Hi Wisconsin. And so I cut them up and I froze them, and now I don't want them in the freezer anymore. So I think we're going to just blend it up. Oh, but before I do that, I want to blend up some almond butter first. So we might actually burn out this blender before I get to the pears, which is fine. If we don't get to the pears, then I will cook them. I'm not even going to measure how much almonds I'm putting in here. That much. That much almonds is what I'm putting in here. It's going to be noisy, guys. It's going to be noisy. Ready? 1, 2, 3. This is actually a perfect stopping place for ground almonds. Wow. Wait, what if I actually saved some of this for a baking project? I think I might. I think I might save some of this. I wish I had more containers. I don't know where they all went. This is what happens when you bring friends food and they don't give you containers back. Guys. I seem so light today. Oh, that's lovely. I like being the light. Yes, all nut butters are basically ground until fat is released, and once you have the fat released, it starts basically creaming itself into a paste. So you just have to blend it for a very long time with a very high-powered blender. And eventually, you will have nut butter. But right now I'm making, I guess to be honest, I have a problem. Last night I just stood in my kitchen and I just like ate out of the bag of roasted almonds for half an hour, it is a problem. And I don't want to restrict myself, but I also realize that this is something that I really like to eat when I'm stressed or sad or something. So I think I'm just going to try to transform what I love to eat into different I don't know, forms. And try to do other stuff with them so that, you know, I'm not really restricting myself, but I'm kind of guarding myself from repeating my binging habits. Trying to think about how to create a healthier relationship with food where I don't use it as a crutch, but it's a work in progress for sure. But I feel like this would do really good in a cake. Almond meal, basically. Blender Rex, I mean, all professional restaurants use Roku, but they're like $400 to $500 to start. I have that's a food processor, by the way, the Roku. I have a Vitamix. This is also what restaurants use. If you buy Vitamix, it's also pretty big of an investment. They don't really dip below $250 if you buy it refurbished. If you buy it new, they're usually $300 to $400 as well. I would recommend that if you do buy a Vitamix that you do not go with this blender top. This one is a squat blender top that fits underneath countertops, but the tall blender top, I think, has way better engineering and mechanics for actually allowing you to blend without having to stop, pause, mix manually. Just the construction of it makes a lot more sense for that vortex action. And that's all I have to say about that. Wow. Look at us go. Look at us drop things. I'm going to blend up most of this toasted almonds so that I could play with it, I think. This is good. I like new things. And trying to problem solve a little bit for myself, for my psychology. This is how fine it can get the almonds. And if we keep grinding it, which we will in the next batch, we'll make almond butter. You definitely need a very high-powered blender for sure. I'm curious to know what your last big life habit or routine change was and how long it took you to change a habit. I'm very curious how people find sustainable change in their own lives. It is, I think, something that I struggle with, but I also think that it's normal to struggle with it since depending on how long you've been running on that habit, it's kind of like breaking yourself apart and deconstructing your identity before you can actually make changes. So it makes sense to me. Round 2. How do you clean a blender properly? The best way to clean a Vitamix is actually to rinse it, hot water, a drop of soap, and then blend it. Blend that. Don't fill it all the way up. Fill it like a third or a half of the way up max. All right, noise. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Almond butter, but I just want to make some almond meal first so that I don't have whole toasted almonds to binge on this week. I'm going to keep some whole toasted almonds for me to eat, but I'm going to blend it into almond meal and almond butter so that I can have it in different forms and I can still enjoy the food, and I can gradually teach myself to like enjoy the food rather than using it to calm myself down, which is what I've been doing. I think there are healthier coping mechanisms that I can encourage myself to try out, especially now that I feel like this coping mechanism is no longer serving me in the same way. It's kind of like shedding a skin of sorts, figuring out what's worked, what's not worked, and trying to identify other possibilities for myself. Mindset is huge in changing habits, for sure, yeah. Big, 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 big. So big. I've basically started making almond butter on the bottom here, so I think this will be my last batch of almond flour, which is great, because now I have 3 jars of it, which is more than enough. Yeah, so the problem with this blender is that the things on the bottom don't really get tossed up as much. So you'll see towards the bottom, it's like caked on already. Like the bottom has already started turning into butter. So that's just something that you have to be aware of. Almond butter time then. And I do want to leave today at noon so that I can finally edit some crap that I've been dragging my damn body through for the last month. Noise alert. 3, 2, 1. I'm starting to smell the motor, so I'm going to take it off. I'm going to let it cool, and this is the perfect time for us to do our bolding after all of that agitation. I did not forget about the bolding. change you make is too severe or unkind to yourself, I think it makes you want to escape it, and it's harder to stay consistent. I totally agree with that statement, Hannah. And the time is 11:05 a.m. for me. And yes, trying to be less judgmental is definitely something that I'm working on. We have the bowl. We have mom's spoon. We breathe. We think of all the things that are clouding our brain space and cluttering our emotions, our thoughts, our ruminations, our anxieties, our sadnesses, our desires, our disappointments, our past pains, our current pains, our future pains, imagined and real. And we just try to let the sound ring through us. Hearing each knock be a little different from the other, let it be a reminder to us all that we are all different on different days and different moments and different years across different spans of our lifetimes, that we never stay the same, and that is okay, and they are all very present, and they are all very here, and they are all existing at the same time, having been all part of us and having been all part of the past, and acknowledging that the past is carried into the present, and that the past and the present will carry into the future. But they do not have to hurt us if we just experience them and let them stay with us until it's their time to transform into something else. And we breathe. And we carry forth a slightly different tone, but still the same. Okay, almond butter. I'm going to add in a little bit of salt now. Oh wow, that's really gunky. Ew. For sure, I don't think I'm the same person that I was before Mom died. And for sure, I might not even be the same person that I was when I first got fired 7 months ago. I've not only experienced a change in jobs and living situation and parental liveliness, I think I've also learned a lot of people function differently than I do, just based off of my experiences on Hinge. Like, it's taught me a lot. And it wasn't pleasant in the beginning, and it still isn't really pleasant now, but I think because I was expecting something and I didn't meet that expectation, that I was disappointed and hurt. But again, I think expectations are a guideline, but if you treat it like the Bible, religions always deal damage and violence, like all dogmas. They are all restrictive in some sense, and they limit my ability to be free-flowing. And it's really hard because I still do have an ego. So it is hard to like actually be free-flowing, but that in itself could be a direction to work towards, to be a little bit more free-flowing, and a little less dogmatic. Just trying to find the medium ground of how to be open without being exploited by others is something that I've been struggling with. How deeply I want to be pushed and pulled by other people, I don't know quite. I'm going to add in a little bit of nutmeg. I'm going to add in a little bit of cinnamon. I'm going to add in a little bit of pumpkin spice. I think even if this doesn't turn out exactly pleasing in flavor, which I don't think will be an issue, this will be just one more experiment for me to try, and also make the almond butter a little less addictive for me. I think our society has made food very addictive, you know, snack foods. They spend millions of dollars every year to kind of finesse the flavors, and the industry knows exactly what gets us off as consumers. It's become almost terrifying the ways in which they can predict our addictions, and then they create things that feed our addictions, and they market it to us and hook us. In essence, a lot of our industries are like pimps and malevolent drug dealers. And drugs are good and sometimes very necessary, but not being aware that it's a drug can be very detrimental, especially with our current narrative of it's all your fault if you get addicted, when that's really not the case. I think some people feed into the addiction and they know exactly what they're doing, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Oh, and sugar. I should add some sugar now. Okay, noise. 3, 2, 1. Can I pick one burlap and barrel spice to add to this? Sure. We're almost at the butter stage. You can see that knob there. That's basically the consistency we want to reach with all the other bits in the tub there, but let's take a look. Burlap and barrel. We have some allspice. We have some mesquite. We have vanilla powder. Doesn't that sound good? Vanilla powder. Cinnamon we already have. We have cloves. We have ginger. We have rose. What do you want? We also have salts. We have turmeric. We have herbs. We have chilies. We can add chilies if you want. endless. Endless. Truly endless. Kitchen pepper. Kitchen pepper has sumac, black pepper, ginger, allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves. I don't oil the motor, no, I haven't. Oh, you want a chili? Wow. Chili rose? That sounds disgusting, not gonna lie. Sorry, that's a veto from me. Whoops, my phone just fell. Oh my god, my phone just fell. Hold on. Hold on. Tech support. What is going on? Okay, we're back. Tomato powder, lemongrass. That sounds interesting, but also maybe too savory. We have this one that I haven't tried yet. Shall we try this? Cocoa and spice. This is a collaboration with God's Love We Deliver. I actually volunteered with God's Love We Deliver when I was in college for the summer. They do amazing things where they deliver meals to the homeless or people with terminal illnesses, and I just learned recently that they make birthday cakes for the people they deliver meals to, which is like blows my mind. Cocoa and Spice has cocoa, mesquite, royal cinnamon, whole vanilla. Let's go with this. I want to try this. I'm curious. This will be a good opportunity for me to try more spices that I haven't had a chance to try before. If I could find the peel. There we go. Somebody's playing a lot of opera. Oh wow. That's so good. It tastes like earthier hot cocoa without the sugar, but I think because of the cinnamon, you can taste sweetness. It smells like the original hot chocolate, like if you think very pure, like almost Aztec era hot chocolate. Okay, we're gonna go in with tap, tap, tap. Maybe like a teaspoon. Here we go. Cinnamon does taste sweet. I think allspice and cloves also taste sweet on their own. Yes, this is almond butter. If your almond butter is running smoothly like mud on the lowest setting in your blender, you are there. This looks good. So let me open it up and show you what it looks like. That's what it looks like. We're gonna do a scrape down because there are bits on the sides here that didn't get incorporated, but I think we don't need to burn out the motor too much. We're gonna let it rest a little bit. We're gonna make the cream cheese filling for my tartlets next so that we can blend the pears after the machine has rested for a little bit. think we're done. I think that's it. Do you see how it's moving inside? It looks almost liquidy. That's what you want your almond butter to look like. All right, so now we're gonna turn this off. We're gonna let it cool down. We're gonna open this up and we're gonna transfer it to a jar. I want to use another jar. This one smells better. The other one smelled a little nasty. She thick. She real thick. Come on. Mmm, yum. We might get copyrighted for this live if they don't stop blasting that opera. I have no idea what's playing. That would be sad, huh? Maybe I should close the window. Let me try to talk over it until I can close the window. All right, no more opera. Do you feel like there is such a thing as giving too much to friends? Have you ever been creeped out by someone who gave you too much? Whether it be gifts or attention? This doesn't sound like Mozart. This sounds very contemporary. It sounds boring. It's boring opera. I wouldn't mind some Wagner right now. Wagner would be delightful. How do you tell people that they're giving you too much attention without hurting their feelings? Does anybody have advice on that? I feel like my persona breeds certain dynamics. People feel like they know me already, and then when they DM me for possibly the first or second time, it just feels way too intimate. But I'm also talking about friends in real life where you're just like, have you actually said that to someone? Yo, you're giving me too much attention? The rest of this cannot fit, so we're gonna taste. We have a cute little jar of freshly made almond butter. I am so delighted. And now I'm gonna label all these jars. When you say you have no contact to this day, was that a mutual decision? Or did one person have to enforce it more than the other? Church people. So how do you become cool with someone that you don't speak to for 4 to 5 years? Like, how did you even get back in touch together? That's such a curious dynamic. Wow, these are really enlightening, your comments. Most of the time it leads to them asking for a favor or something else. Interesting. I like that phrasing, Hannah. I'm feeling overwhelmed by X behavior, so I need you to Y behavior. That is really helpful because it sets boundaries and also creates a guideline and blueprint for expected change in behavior. Yeah, imbalance in relationships is real. It's hard. Okay, I'm gonna go pee, but I'll be back. Be nice to each other. I believe the time has come for me to actually eat something so that I can actually take my meds because it's already 11:30 and I'm supposed to be spacing these out by 12 hours, which I'm not going to be able to do anymore because I'm not going to be eating at 11. So let's eat some leftovers. Yay! Leftovers. I'm going to heat up some of this, which is our Thai curry made with whole milk mushrooms. And then we're going to eat it with some celery, and then we shall proceed. I'm sorry for the interruption in programming. Mushrooms? Why can't you eat mushrooms anymore? That's so sad. That makes me so sad. This is just, oh, you eat them up. That's a great one. This is the way I eat things now, and I'm just using vegetables as a utensil. It works great for me. Hi, Thailand. It's like a challenge and a game. I think if you don't like celery, you probably hate licorice. You probably aren't a fan of fennel. No worries. You don't need to thank me. This is every day is the same and every day is different. Made me very happy to do the boldings. It tastes like poison to you? Have you tried bitter melon? After you try bitter melon, nothing else will taste like poison to you. Yes, I've had my ear pierced for like a year now. Where you been? These two were last May. This one got really infected for very long. It was really gross for like 8 months. And it still flares from time to time. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the dude pierced it right or if I just didn't take care of it right, but it didn't heal properly. My body doesn't like piercings, which makes the septum piercing idea really unwise, but YOLO. I think it was a nickel allergy. I shouldn't have cheaped out on the piercing jewelry. But the gold ones were like $340. It was intense. Artificial sweeteners always taste weird. That's why they're artificial sweeteners. If artificial sweeteners didn't taste artificial, would they even be artificial? Look, you can use celery as a spoon for soups. It's a skill you have to develop, you know, but it works. My crunching feels festive to you? Great. I love it. I mean, they all say these sweetener alternatives are natural because they're natural things that get processed into sweeteners, but are chips natural? Are potato chips natural? Depends on your branding and marketing, right? It's all just words, guys. It's all just words. Sugar is natural too, I guess, but it's super processed. Apple has sugar. Cane sugar is sugar. Very different kinds of sugars. Okay, but Indonesian crackers are fucking delicious. If I had them, I would use them right now. I just don't have them. Indonesian crackers are so good. I hate aspartame. I hate the two that you mentioned. I can tolerate sucralose, and I can tolerate erythritol. I hate stevia too. Stevia tastes bitter after a certain point. I feel like Vitamin Water always had stevia because their whole marketing was like 0 or low calorie. Hello, North Carolina. Welcome to this random live stream. I don't know if I would attempt a garden. I don't think I'm naturally talented for growing. But I might offer it up for other people to garden in it. Oh my god, that's so cute. Look at you guys welcoming our new person. I'm so speechless. Wait, kombucha does not need sweeteners. What kind of sweeteners did they put? That sounds disgusting. I don't want artificial sweeteners in kombucha. Because kombucha needs sugar, essentially, to carbonate. I don't think artificial sweeteners can carbonate it. I don't think that's how fermentation works, right? All right. Medication time. I am still hungry. That's for sure. Ema, we can buy. I have stores here that sell Indonesian crackers, but thank you. I also don't have a P.O. box yet. Okay. Pills, come to me. You don't say no to your mother-in-law, obvious. You just don't say no to your mother-in-law. There are so many comments here. Pine needles producing carbonated water. No, I have not seen that. That sounds amazing and so weird. Hello, Poland. Hello, Kara from Florida, currently visiting fam. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I truly don't know how that works. Here we go. We are going to taste the almond butter now. And then we're going to make our pear sorbet in this container. Or rather, maybe a pear smoothie. Wait, what can I eat this almond butter on? Maybe I'll just taste it on its own. A little heart spoon. How cute. We stole this from Delta. Wow, it's still warm. Huh. I think I liked it best with just cinnamon because it felt familiar to me. This taste is, obviously there's a lot. We put pumpkin pie spice, we put cinnamon, we put nutmeg, and then we put cocoa and spice, which has cocoa and mesquite and vanilla. So there's a lot of flavors in here. It feels warm because it literally is warm out of the blender, but the flavor profile also feels like a very lovely hug from your favorite aunt or uncle at like a family gathering after maybe you've had a very tough year. That's what it feels like to me. There's a little bit of heaviness to it, a little bit of gravity, but also comfort. And it feels both familiar and strange. The familiarity is from your settings, you're back home visiting family, and the strangeness is emanating from within yourself because you're feeling like involuntarily a changed person. Would I make this again? Maybe not nutmeg. I think the nutmeg is a little heavy. But maybe once it sits in the fridge overnight, it'll mellow out and all the spices will mingle together a little bit more. But I don't mind. And I think the sugar has still not melted into it fully yet. I can feel the grittiness of the sugar in the bites. So I think once it sits for a bit and they can all mingle together, it might be a lot smoother of an eating experience. But we'll see. Certainly is new to me, which I think is good. I like new. Okay. Cream cheese. We're gonna whip it with some sugar. I think we're gonna whip it. I was originally gonna use powdered sugar, but I don't know if I want to anymore. I also hate that it's leaking. So I'm gonna transfer this so it can stop leaking. But I was gonna use powdered sugar because I felt like it would control the spread, but then I realized that cream cheese already has guar gum thickeners in here, and I'm also not adding an egg because I don't have an egg. So I think what's gonna do best to help us break down this whipped cream cheese is just actual sugar, because actual sugar has granulation in it. I'm going to label that 10x. I don't know why, but in restaurants, they call powdered sugar 10x. I'm going to guess that because powdered sugar is super fine, it might be processed 10 times from normal sugar or from sugar cane. I'm not sure why, but I've just always known that in restaurants, we always call powdered sugar 10x. So I think I'll keep this filling plain because I'm making it for a friend. But if I weren't making it for a friend, and if I were making it for myself, I would definitely be flavoring this, you know, probably with some weird shit. But I don't want to mess up my friend's birthday treat. Alright. Bye! Happy Mother's Day! More restaurant knowledge? It's not like we have a Bible of restaurant knowledge, but there's also, I feel like people might know now, FIFO or FIFO. It's an acronym, FIFO, first in, first out. So when you get shipments of when you get shipments of fresh produce, you always move the older stock to the front and put the newer stock in the back so that the first ones into the restaurant are the first ones out of the restaurant. This ensures minimal food waste, and I do this with, for example, Grandma gives me her milk carton from breakfast every morning now, and I always have it ordered first in, first out, meaning the oldest ones that she gave me are always in the front, and the newest ones are always in the back. So this one is sell by date May 19th, and that one is sell by date May 25th. So just stuff like that. Which is very practical. Yeah. This Sunday's newsletter, the intro was written by me, but it features snippets from everyone else, and the intention of that newsletter is to really let the team shine. So I kept everyone's wording original to how they sent it to me, unless I had to edit some punctuation to make it make sense. But none of the blurbs were written by me. They were all written by the people whose pictures you see them next to. It's insane. When I was, you want some hot gossip about Delish? Guys, when I first got to the Delish test kitchen as a test kitchen assistant, freelance, contract worker, there was nary a baking scale in sight in the entire test kitchen. It shook me to my core after working in restaurants for almost 5 years. That there was no scale in a test kitchen. I was like, hold up, what? Where's the scale? So definitely brought a lot of my kitchen practices to the Delish test kitchen. I think, if I may praise myself, the thing that I am most proud of was eliminating a lot of food waste. They would order fresh direct groceries every week for that week's shoots or recipe development. And by the end of the week, the practice was just to toss out things that were rotting or past by the sell-by date, including meat. And the first 2 weeks, I let it happen because I was new and I didn't know what was going on. But when I saw that it was like a common practice to just throw out chicken and beef, I was like, this feels so wrong. So I just started freezing it for backup, because sometimes, you know, you mess up a recipe and you need a backup, and I'm like, well, instead of buying all new, you can just freeze it and defrost it at a later date. It's past sell-by date, but it's not bad. You can just freeze it. And then when it got to like really backed up backups, I started taking them home, and then I was like, okay, there's a lot of food here. I can't take it all home, and nobody else seems to want it, but let me try. So then I started to alert the team, the Delish team, on Friday afternoons when we were wrapping up that week's shoot, when I was doing inventory, what groceries we were giving away, and people would actually come to claim them. And that later expanded to alerting the whole building, because people need groceries. These foods are like not best condition, but they're also like not rotten. And I would say if there's anything that I loved the most, it was eliminating food waste as much as possible. So that's the thing that I was most proud of. I don't know if they're doing that anymore. I doubt they're going as hard at it anymore without me there, but I'm glad to have done that in my time while I was there. How did I come across Delish? They had a job listing up on goodfoodjob.com. I applied once, never heard back. And then I interned for a food writer for her recipe book testing for a couple of months. And I applied again after that internship was over, and it turned out, by name dropping that author that I had worked for in my internship, that made a connection at Delish, because the food deputy editor at the time, excuse me, these meds make me burp so much more. Like, I'm farting less, but burping more. I don't know why. Probably something to do with gut bacteria being killed. It's a genocide in my stomach right now. Yeah, drop names. If you have names, drop names. That's the only way you can get a job these days. My resume really didn't change that much between my first application and my second application, but the name dropping helped. Hello, Kimberly. I mean, I didn't even have to order extra. It's just the nature of food media is you always have to order backups, because you don't want to be scrambling for ingredients should something go wrong during testing, during shooting, during beauties. And if you need backup, you should always have backup. So we always ended up ordering more than we actually needed for that one recipe, because we might have to make it 3 times for camera. We might have to make a cake in the freezer so that it has time to set. Just so many sets of ingredients for one recipe would always result in food waste. So like, my number one issue after I realized how much food waste there was, way more than restaurants, because at least restaurants use leftover ingredients in family meals, but like, this wasn't a restaurant. People weren't cooking for the sake of making food 24/7 and feeding a team. They were cooking for photo shoots and video shoots, you know. So it was a different operation, and nobody really had time because it was so time crunched. The shoots were insane. We would shoot like 6 photos of 6 different recipes in a day for stills, or we might be shooting like 4 to 5 different videos of recipes in a day. And the pacing was such that like, I never even really took lunch. We weren't paid for that hour of lunch, but I very rarely actually took lunch. I would just sit at my computer and like take a 20-minute break and eat something. But that was just how everyone operated, you know? But I learned later on that that was really fucking dumb. I should have been taking my lunch hour that I wasn't getting paid for anyway. So the cooked food would sometimes get dumped. It would get brought down to the editorial floor, which was a different floor than we were on. Editorial meaning they would, that's where like the website editors who wrote news features and the video editing team was kind of stationed. We would bring it down there, but it was also just a very small team, so like a lot of the food went to waste. So later on, right before the pandemic hit, I would say like maybe 4 or 5 months, I started alerting the whole building on Slack of like, we're putting this out on floor 29, come grab, we have 5 pieces. People would like claim it over Slack and I would pack it up for them in Tupperware. I would encourage people to use Tupperware. I would save jars like I do at home. I basically transferred a lot of my Trash Panda habits into the workplace, and like people didn't really seem to mind, and I was all very gung-ho about it. People even brought in Tupperware so that we could have some more Tupperware, but obviously when the pandemic went down, we kind of like stopped doing all of that because everybody was not sure how it was spreading and sharing food became more of an issue. But while it lasted, it was nice. And then I think when people went back into the office, they continued the tradition of sending out food alerts to the whole building. So I hope that tradition is still alive. I miss it. That might be the part that I miss the most about being in the office, is seeing people eat up the food. I think for a very long time, I was like very ashamed and embarrassed about my Trash Panda habits, and it took me probably over a decade or more to overcome that shame. But even when I wasn't ashamed of it, I was still embarrassed of it, and I was like also afraid of introducing other people to these habits, both as them as observer of my habits and as participants of the habits. But guys, I think if you can just find people who are open to more of life, they won't judge you as badly as you think they will, you know? Because like at the end of the day, we're all not the super rich, and we're all looking for ways to save money, and life is rough. So what I've learned most during the last 4 years is that maybe if you are comfortable with yourself, other people will have no problem accepting that because they see that you are comfortable with yourself, which the pure fact of being comfortable with yourself is something so admirable and so hard to do, because the messaging in our society is you cannot be comfortable with who you are because parentheses, what else would we sell to you to make you feel better about yourself? And I think that's why a lot of like self-love and self-care proponents are like, you don't need to be anything other than you, like you are enough. It sounds cheesy, but if you think about it, really all of these industries run on the fact that you're not enough, and it makes you want to better yourself. And bettering yourself entails first admitting that you're not enough, and it encourages you feeling embarrassment about yourself and your habits and your background and your upbringing and all of this thing that's tied up in the psychology of who you are and what you do. All of the things that capitalism runs on excels at you living in fear of everything, but most of all, living in fear of yourself. Which is why they love to kill off the people who are fearless. Because fear gives the system power. Fear makes a union weak. If everybody who participates in the union is not fearful of management, they can get so much shit done so much faster. So of course, management's first tactic is to scare the living daylights out of everyone who wants to unionize, by means of intimidation, by means of bullying, by means of outright lying to you about what is lawful and what is not, about what is good for you and what is not. They don't care about that. They just care about how much money they can make off of you, you know? It's time for cream cheese. Oh my god. I love cream cheese so much. Oh my god. Okay, we have the filling for tomorrow. I will probably go live tomorrow at some point. Maybe in the afternoon? Or early evening to... Should I bake it on Tuesday though? I'm actually seeing... Wait, no. No, tomorrow's his birthday. Oh my god, I'm getting birthdays mixed up. Taurus season. Meaning people are fucking in September for a baby to be born in May. What's so hot about sex in September? I was born at the end of September, which means my parents were probably getting it on during Chinese New Year. So fresh ricotta. Ricotta was my mom's shit. She loved ricotta with honey, but she also loved cheesecake. So all of the cream cheese and ricotta that I will eat for the rest of my life is in honor of my mom and of my own taste buds too. Please, as early as possible. Well, what time is it where you are, Benjamin? Or do you pronounce it Benjamin? Are you that kind of European? Okay, it's pear sorbet time. Oh god, another burp. I'm so sorry. I can't control the gas. The medication is doing it to me. Here's our frozen pear. Going into our almond butter. I will probably flavor it with something. Okay, we're gonna have noise again. This container also creates a lot of air pockets so that things don't actually get blended. Okay, this is not gonna be sorbet. This will just be pear puree, which is fine. We're gonna have to think of what to bake with it. I think I wanna bake cake. Guys, should we bake a pear cake? Oh my god, I wanna bake a pear cake. Should we bake a pear cake? I wanna bake a pear cake. Okay, so we're gonna taste this. I might actually just cook it down into a pear jam, because I really don't want to turn on the oven today. But look at that gorgeous creaminess. If this pear were any more frozen, it would be sorbet right now. This would be like ice cream. Pear and banana make excellent. Yeah, I know, not too much pear. This is good. This is still like kind of sorbet. It's just like really melty sorbet. You can see the drip drip. One more. Ooh, it tastes really good with the almond butter. Yum! Okay. I don't think I should eat anymore, but maybe one more. One more. With a little bit of the almond butter. And then we're gonna cook this down. Guys, frozen pear puree is so good. Oh, God. That's so good. So people make apple butter, but I don't know. Do people make pear butter? Pear cake with caramel sounds so good too. I just don't have heavy cream to make the caramel. And I ate all of my condensed milk, unfortunately. Yum, 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 yum. That was delightful. I'm so sad because in order to make pureed fruit sorbet, like one ingredient sorbets, you'd have to fill up the blender to make it turn. But I can't ever really eat that much in one go, especially not pear. Pear would fuck me up if I ate that whole thing. So apple butter is completely smooth, very, very concentrated, has all the moisture cooked out. Apple compote is chunky, and it's basically cooked fruit where you can still see and taste pieces of the fruit, and it's coated in a light sweetened syrup coating that is half sauce and half jam. You can make condensed milk, but it would take a very long time to cook that milk down, and I am not here for it.
My ear has been pierced since last May, Holly. You've been here this whole time.
I guess it might be because when I have the camera angled this way, you only see this piercing, which you're used to seeing. But because we were standing on that countertop today, you've been seeing this side of my face more. And more people have noticed it. But it's been here. I've been pierced. Pear cake with brown sugar and brown butter also sounds good, guys. It sounds like a lot more, oh God, I just got pear all over my computer. Whoops. It sounds like a lot more effort than I'm willing to go through though, if I may be honest. And you have to deal with a lot of stirring and a lot of splattering when you're cooking down fruits like this because it continues to bubble until all the moisture is driven out because you're basically boiling a lot of water. There's a lot of moisture in fruits. So, unlike water, there is also weight meshed in with the moisture. So it's like the moisture is trying to escape, pushing against the flesh of the fruit, and that's how you have so much splattering. That's why making jam is such a pain in the butt, and I would recommend you have a taller pot for it so that it doesn't like jump out as much, but it's hard. But I will not be making the pear cake today, for it is, noon, and I do have to go soon to do other stuff in my life. But I hope you've enjoyed this Mother's Day stream of me doing all my random shit. No, the tartlets will be with guava jam. You'll see tomorrow when I make them. Tomorrow we will do a live, I think, of me making the guava. It's the same one that's featured in the asexuality video. If you guys saw that one. It's the guava and cream cheese. Oh my god. Quit splattering like that. It's the same one. This is rough. I don't know if I want to continue this anymore. Terrifying monster. You monster. I'm just going to lick my Vitamix and clean it. That'll be the end of the live. I hope you've been satisfied with my mundane shit. That pear will just continue to cook with the lid on because the splatters were getting really painful. But I do have to stir it every once in a while. So how many of you are disappointed that I stopped making my own content for the most part? Because I am. But I wonder what you guys think. What were your expectations for me after I got fired? I do think this is a biased crowd to ask. You guys are definitely here for the live stream content, obviously, because you're on a live stream. But I'm really happy to hear that you guys like the live stream. Because I think for the longest time, I was honestly, like, kind of embarrassed about these live streams. I don't know, the mentality evolution of how I perceive these live streams have been very interesting to me to think about. Obviously the live streams are the bulk of what I'm doing now, and so my relationship to it has shifted a lot. But I think initially I was like, oh, live streams aren't real content, live streams are fake content. And I think a part of my brain still continues to feel that way, but I'm trying really hard not to, because I realize how unhealthy that is to think. Yeah. And I'm working on here's the thing, I'm working on a long edit currently where I'm cooking for a week, but I talk about shit like my disordered eating history, you know, like I just think that a lot of this is kind of personal and therapy for myself, and I totally understand that the audience will be reduced and also very different than my other more mainstream stuff. And I think I'm constantly trying to negotiate mentally, like, is this worth it? Is this worth doing? And I think I've landed on a place, maybe just in the last month, that it is worth doing, but it's not worth stressing myself over, if that makes sense. I think for a long time after I got fired, I was trying to making my own videos possibly a livelihood. And so I was stressing about metrics, about content that would do well, about topics, about formats. And I think after half a year of that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, don't do that. You can't rely on YouTube. Yeah. I did tell Grandma Happy Mother's Day. Well, I just told her that it's Mother's Day, and she was like, okay. We went to the farmer's market. She looked at some flowers. She likes purple flowers the most. She doesn't like pink flowers, which is surprising. Yeah, I know you guys all missed the budget eats. It was entertaining. It was also a shit ton of work with the whole team. Yeah. Yep. I also think a lot of this transition has been trying to understand why people keep watching the live streams. And yes, I know, like, some comments here say, we watch it for you. You keep me company. I get it. But a part of my brain is still not processing, like, why would you just watch someone rant for 2 hours? But I get it. We're lonely. It makes sense to me. Oh, my back just cracked. That kind of felt good. Okay. This is what getting old looks like in real time. Okay, we're gonna clean the Vitamix now. I'm turning 34 this year, Hannah. I don't know how old you are, but I bet you are not that far apart in age. This is fascinating. Zara says, your live streams are like a system update. At first I was like, I'm good with things how they are. Then I started preferring the lives and it changed to, oh, this is way better. I do have a good community, I agree, Alice. So I think people adjust. And I think I'm learning that I'm adjusting too. So it's really fascinating for me to see this adjustment happen. Slowly, gradually, but it's happening. By the way, I got myself a new bottle of dish soap. I know. What a treat, right? Okay, so that was like a squirt of dish soap. I got some water in there. I'm gonna lid it. I'm going to put it over here. We're going to turn it on. And then we're just gonna let it clean itself. For the most part, I think you can do like 30 seconds to a minute if you want. There are some stains. You can see there's like a little bit of nut butter here, but then I'll just go in with a sponge and get rid of it. Relatively easy process. Low maintenance for the most part. You should open a P.O. box for your birthday month, so all the people who want to send you weird fan art or snacks or whatever can give you a gift. That's cute. A post box just for 1 month.
Guys, there's no issues with having roommates at any age. Like, understand that it's just not possible right now for people to live on their own for the most part, unless you come from a very moneyed background with parents who support you into adulthood. It's hard. I've known people in their 30s to still have roommates. I just don't have any friends who are in their 40s, but I bet you if the economy keeps going the way it is and our job market keeps compensating the way it's been compensating people, like, I'm sure once I get into my 40s, I'll still have friends who have roommates. I don't think I have a Spartan lifestyle. I mean, do you see this apartment? I am #blessed. But yeah, the way I spend money, for sure, for the most part in terms of lifestyle, I'm pretty Spartan. I prefer it that way. It's just what I'm most comfortable with. Anything else besides so-called Spartan spending habits feel unnatural to me. Although I did just buy myself another pair of Birkenstocks the other day because I saw it on sale. But even the Spartans have to spend money sometimes, because whether or not you like it, we live in a capitalism where joy is to be found in buying things. Even if you don't agree with that, it's true. So this is just gonna look like applesauce, and I'm going to sign off. It smells like applesauce too. It smells so good. I might add a little, what should I add? Should we add ginger? Should we add ginger? Should we add cardamom? Ooh, cardamom. Let's add cardamom. Jesus Christ, it's sputtering all over the place. My shorts are also from an Amazon deal. I got 2 pairs for I think under 10 bucks. I think it was just, if you search on Amazon sometimes, they have like stupidly good deals, and I buy them when I see a stupidly good deal. I bought a pair of Birkenstocks for 70 bucks, which isn't like a stupidly good deal, but in this economy, it's pretty good. The brand is Marika, Marika. I have, my leggings are their brand too. They just seem to fit me the best, and they're pretty budget friendly, especially if you get it on Amazon. So, you know, that's how I roll. I don't really watch any live content, although, when I watch my narcissism channels and they have like live streams, sometimes I watch those. Those conversations are very fascinating, but listen, if a random Asian chick were to cook in her kitchen and rant about her depression and grandmother and poops, I probably wouldn't be watching. So, just saying. Okay, well, I'm gonna go lick my cream cheese in peace, because, you know, sometimes it gets really intimate with cream cheese, but I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, if we all live to see another day. Bye. Happy Day of Moms.